Can you tell me the difference between like a personality disorder type of diagnosis and say a bipolar diagnosis? Because one has to do more with the brain, doesn't it? The functioning of the brain.
Well, they both really have to do with the brain. You know,
Okay.
our brains, my brain working right now, operating, it's sending me messages, impulses. Hopefully not too much cortisol or my heart, doesn't, beat on my chest, but just enough where I can, have enough anxiety to perform well. And one is more kind of, I guess, organic. I guess, it would be the more bipolar kind of, just kind of, it can be more a family history, kind of predisposition to it over time. If one of your parents were bipolar, the statistics go up that, you could have a similar neurological wiring. Uh, but to contrast that with borderline, a personality disorder kind of falls into its own realm. Before the DSM-5, it was kind of seen in its own realm on the axis 2, which is like a personality characterological reaction. And so typically what happens is a child who grows up in a very abusive, trauma-inducing childhood, it messes with the wiring of their brain. Humans are the only species who have a fundamentally underdeveloped brain, like in the animal kingdom, because we would kill our mothers if we came out with a fully developed brain. So what happens is, we're very the stem of the brain is the part that's primarily developed, and the other stuff kind of fills in until you're 25 years old. So those first 25 years old is very pivotal in a person's personality development. Some people even say at age 4 or 5 you're kind of seeing it. It's up for debate. But definitely by 25 your brain's kind of locked in by that stage. And we've known that statistically those crafty insurance people realized it, and that's why everyone's car insurance goes down when they hit 25, and because you're playing with a full deck at that age. And so what happens is your brain develops out from here to here, and it's going through a myelinization process. So if you would think of it as electrical impulses being sent on a wire, and it didn't have the plastic coat around it, the impulses just kind of shoot out everywhere. And as you develop, you get like this fatty layer kind of develops over it. And that makes it, electrical impulses send more fluidly and quicker, and it's an ongoing thing that happens until you're 25. And the last part up here is your prefrontal cortex, which is your wise decision making, logical consequences, A plus B equals C.
I think you called it the owl.
Yeah. So when I work with children who've gone through a traumatized experience, I refer to this part of your brain, the base of your brain, where the amygdala is, and where the hippocampus is. So your memory brain and your fight or flight response are right next to each other, and are always playing visions of the past, predicting a future based off what it's seen on the past. So if you have a pretty awful past, it's predicting a pretty awful future. And our brain is reacting to this, constantly, kind of unconsciously, I guess. That's the term, right? We're trying to be more aware, more conscious of our beings and ourselves. So as this goes on, if you've had a really traumatic, I refer to this as the tiger brain with kids. So, fight or flight or freeze. People have one of those three responses to a perceived threat. And when the And this part up here, the last part that develops, I refer to as your owl brain, the prefrontal cortex. And what happens is when the tiger wakes up, the owl flies away. So, and the owl can't fly back until the tiger goes to sleep. So something happens and you get into this panic, anxiety, aggressive response mode. There is no rational thinking going on at the time. The owl's taken off. At that point, you're just trying to cool the flames, get them through that moment to kind of calm and collect themselves. And then the owl flies back. So if you ever seen like a 6-year-old who does something, and they, and then they start to calm down, and then they get that oh crap look on my face, mom's going to be really mad at me now that this is over with, and they start seeing all the consequences. There's going to be a timeout, I'm going to lose my toy. That's because this part of the brain is finally starting to come back online again. So you think about that concept, and you put someone in an abusive environment for several years of their crucial childhood development. It's adaptive. You need to fight, you need to flight, you need to know when to respond, you need to pick up on cues really quickly when a parent's intoxicated. And this is adaptive in this one environment. And then what happens, someone turns 18 and they're thrust out in the real world that isn't that environment, and so they have all the skill set that got them by for the majority of their lives, all their lives, and all of a sudden society isn't working on this. You can't be a violent narcissistic person out walking out in the world, and that is it's a flipping the script on someone. And it's hard for them to change roles, and to even, and because we're naturally egocentric as a young person, everything's everyone else's fault, and everyone else, and me, and that really disrupts that ability to empathize,
and so that sticks.
Yeah, and that sticks, and it becomes part of the person. Versus, a bipolar kind of thing, it's just more of like a chemical imbalance, and it doesn't necessarily reflect the parenting, that the person came from.
So this becomes this is a hardwire issue. The personality disorder, the borderlines, the narcissistic, that's a whole hardwire issue.
Yeah, and it's difficult to you kind of usually have to, when you're talking with adults, you kind of have to meet them, at the age, they are developmentally. There's some really tall 6-year-olds out there walking around, and they're adults, but, they tackle the world, through the strategy of a 6-year-old. And, maybe in arenas like business or law, you might be able to get away with that in some regard. So it's kind of, but not necessarily translates into, every environment.